What's good? It's Fever. Today we're going to look at the most iconic and powerful wizard build in Season 4 of Diablo 3, the Archon. With some changes to the Veer set and a shiny new seasonal belt, the Archon is revived and brings with it a playstyle capable of high 60 greater rifts and beyond. Playing an Archon means giving up the comfort of range to get up close and personal, as the Archon plays a bit like a hybrid melee class with a teleport, with most of your damage happening in that close 15-yard range. All the specifics like gear and Paragon points and gems, that'll all be at the end of the video. What I want to do here though is walk you through the build and teach you how to Archon. So with the Veer set, Archon stacks now do more than just increase our damage. They are a large part of our survivability. Archon stacks are insanely important and dictate the way that you play. With higher stacks, you kill faster, you're harder to kill, but also you'll gain stacks and refresh Archon faster as well. Stacks feed into themselves, and because of this, it is important to get across the concept that gaining stacks is more important than killing mobs. The mobs will die in the pursuit of stacks, if that makes sense. This also means that density trumps everything. Archons live and die by rift density. The second piece of our survivability is the Halo of Arliss Ring and Ancient Parthan Defender Bracer synergy. As long as we can freeze things, and it does happen automatically, we take drastically less damage. Problem is things become CC immune, so as an Archon, you want to use that 3-second cooldown teleport to constantly be moving and repositioning yourself near mobs that can be frozen. This idea of constantly being on the move, this constant repositioning, is core to how you play an Archon. If you find that you are dying a lot with this build, this is the reason why. And to put that into perspective, people are doing Greater Rift 60 plus without a Unity equipped. Our slow time bubble also practically makes us immune to non-ghost ranged damage, and something to keep in mind is your disintegration beam freezes and hastens monster to that CC immunity threshold. Actually playing an Archon comes in 3 phases: out of Archon, in Archon, and overlap Archon, and I'll go over how you play in each phase. Outside of Archon, you have 2 main goals: stack your Chantoto buff to 20, and lower the cooldown of your Archon with attacks through the use of the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac effect. In this build, we use Blizzard. Other more standard builds use Arcane Torrent or a combination of the two and use an animation cancel, but I've found that Blizzard is just as good and easier in the arcane power. Even with a channeling pylon, you still want to stack Chantoto to 20, it's that important. Due to the Swami carrying arcane stacks over for 15 seconds after Archon fading, you will be moderately tanky in this non-Archon form, and the better that you did, the faster your attack speed and the faster you will gain stacks and refresh your next Archon. Now we'll talk about overlap. This is when you activate Archon, but still have stacks that were swamied over from the last Archon. This is when you're the most powerful. This lasts up to 15 seconds depending on how fast you refresh the cooldown, and during this time you should strictly focus on killing stuff. Blink into packs and start punching. Punches do more damage than your disintegration beam, and being in the middle of a pack allows your Arcane Blast and Chantoto Pulse to wreak havoc. The increase in stacks makes you tankier and able to survive things that you otherwise wouldn't, and you want to maximize this time because as you hit harder and faster, more things die, and you'll stack quicker as a result. When the overlap fades, you're now in normal Archon. This is where you have 2 main options. In large groups, you can continue to apply damage, but the main Archon gameplay component is movement. Whether you are moving through the rift or room to room, or more importantly, dragging smaller groups together to form larger packs, or even just aggroing an entire room and pulling it to the middle, normal Archon plays the role of herder. Now what I'll do is, as I move and teleport, I stick in melee range of mobs so that my Halo Ring procs and I'm able to keep up with my Arcane Blast, and as I move I give a little beam swirl to aggro and pull mobs towards me, sometimes doubling back to make smaller groups meet, and when the packs are large enough, I'll start to DPS. When Archon fades, you just repeat the process. In essence, we spend Archon hurting the enemies, non-Archon setting up, and overlap Archon knocking them down. I cannot stress the importance of the overlap. You want to maximize this time. If you're spending this time moving from one room to another, you're wasting your efficiency. Also, while you do gain stacks on using Archon abilities, to hit those high 150 to 300 Archon stacks you should be hitting, you need density. Skipping elites or rares is recommended. If you can drag them around, great, otherwise just ignore them most of the time. The motto of the Archon should be, can't stop, won't stop, and you should play like it. As for Rift Guardians, they come in 3 varieties. Ones that you can just stand and punch, ones that you need to dodge with teleport and then beam them down, and then Evil Incarnate himself, Agnadox, which is really just a bad time. And what falls where is based on your gear. This build is heavily item dependent to the point where I wouldn't even play it unless I had all the pieces. The stats you are trying to gather are just around 50% cooldown reduction. If you're shy of that, you can use the Gogok gem. 30 to 35,000 life on hit. This makes reflect damage and electrified minions manageable. Armor wherever you can get it. Critical hit damage over critical hit chance because the Ice Nova Deep Freeze gives us 10% free crit. And elemental damage on your bracer. Best case scenario, it'll be on your amulet as well. The type of elemental damage doesn't matter. Archon will adapt to your highest type, and as for specific item slots, the only thing not spoken for is your second ring and your amulet. And I recommend Unity or Convention of Elements based on if you want more damage or more defense, and a good Hellfire or Elemental Immunity neck is always a solid choice. Because you spend so little time out of Archon, Teleport is kind of a flex skill. This could be familiar for AP regen or increased damage, this could be Black Hole. I've even seen people use a Fire Spectral Blades build. It just isn't required for the build to function is all I'm getting at. So this is the Season 4 Wizard Archon build. I'll be touching on some more Wizard stuff coming soon. Until next time, this is Fever. Peace.